So this is the B1C1P1 Foundation past paper 6 run through. And always remember you've got these equations at the front of your paper, especially important for the physics section. First we're going to go through the biology section. So the first question is about disease. It says draw straight lines to each disease, the microorganism that causes the disease, and then one line has been drawn for you. So athlete's foot is caused by fungi, cholera is caused by bacteria, and flu is a virus. So if you got one of them correct and it's 1 mark, 2 of them correct it's 1 mark, and then all correct it's 2 mark. Next question. Malaria causes a fever. The body temperature is very high during a fever and this may cause death. Describe how high body temperatures can cause death. So 2 marks, 1 mark saying heat stroke and 1 mark is saying dehydration. This question is about human disorders. Look at the picture of Assad. He is 5 years old and lives in Africa. Assad suffers from marasmus, a disorder caused by starvation. His muscles have wasted. This is because his muscle protein is being used as an energy source due to the lack of food. In a normal diet, food groups other than protein are used as an energy source. Name one other food group used as an energy source. So you can have either carbohydrate or fat, but you could also put sugars, starch, oils, but carbohydrate or fat are your main ones. The estimated daily requirement, EAR, for protein can be calculated using this formula. There it is. It says Assad has a body mass of 12 kilograms. Use a formula to calculate Assad's EAR for protein. So all you have to do is put that 12 into there. So it's going to be 0.6 times 12, which equals 7.2 grams. It says the usual EAR for protein for a 5-year-old boy is 11 grams a day. What percentage of the usual daily requirement for protein is Assad's EAR? Put a ring around the best estimate. So 65% is your best estimate, but if you wanted to work it out, it'd be 7.2 over 11 times 100, and that comes out at around 65. Sickle cell anemia is another disorder that is common in Africa. This disorder is not caused by a poor diet. What causes sickle cell anemia? And that's a gene, or you could say it's inherited. You could also say DNA. So any of those will get you that 1 mark. Cystic fibrosis is a common disorder in Europe. Doctors are trying to find new ways of treating cystic fibrosis in children. A new drug has been developed which may improve the symptoms. This drug was used in trials with children who have cystic fibrosis. Some children showed improved growth and general health. Testing drugs on humans involves doctors taking risks. What would the risks be with this trial? So 2 marks here. 1 mark saying the treatment might not work. 1 mark for saying it might cause harm or might have side effects. 1 mark for saying you could have a mark for saying the treatment is something at expense of normal treatment. You could say it's unethical. You could say that there's ethical issues about experimenting with children. You could say it might cause an allergy or a reaction. It might cause death. So any 2 of those things that I've listed will get you those 2 marks. James and John are identical twins. This means they have inherited the same genes from their parents. The diagram shows some of their characteristics. John is taller and heavier than James, but both have the same colour eyes. Explain how this is possible. So there's 2 marks here. So this is the idea that height or weight are environmental factors, as well as being controlled by genes. Or you could say that John eats more, has a better diet, or eats more protein, or and then eye colour is only controlled by genes. We'll get you the 2nd mark. John is red-green colourblind. This means that James must also be red-green colourblind. Explain why. And that's because they have the same genes or the same DNA. That'll get you that mark. Next question is about heart disease. It says, look at the graph. It shows the number of deaths per year from heart disease in males and females ages 35 to 69 in the UK between 1950 and 2007. So you've got deaths per year among every 100,000 living people, and the year going across. There's your female line, and there's your male line. And the question asks you to describe the trend shown in the graph. So there's 2 marks here, so you can say any 2 of these. You say the overall number of deaths has decreased. You could say males have more deaths than females. You could say there's an initial increase in deaths in males. You could say that there's a later great decrease in male deaths. You could say there's initially a female death rate is relatively stable. It stays around the same, see, and then it starts to drop. So any two of those things that I've listed. It says, for how many years have deaths in males shown a continuous fall in numbers? So that is 27 years, if you read the graph correctly. And then the number of deaths from heart disease has fallen in both males and females. The fall in the number of female deaths has been less than in males. Explain why the number of deaths has fallen and suggest a reason for the difference between males and females. So you've got to just suggest reasons why. So you could say any two of these to get 2 marks. Improvement in diet, eating less salt, eating less saturated fat, less smoking, more exercise, better healthcare, better education. You could say more active, drinking less alcohol. And then once you've got 2 of those, you also have 1 of these. So you could say improvements reducing risk factors in males will have a bigger effect as more males are affected in the first place. So I get you that last mark. Okay, the next question is a 6-mark question. So please can you mark this yourself using the mark scheme that you can find on the Google site. And then if you're unsure whether you marked it correctly, please ask your teacher, but please try and mark it yourself first. Onto the chemistry section. Stowmarket Synthetics make perfumes. They make and test 4 new perfumes. Perfumes must be tested before they are permitted to be used. Write about 2 reasons why. So any 2 of these, you could say to check if the perfume is toxic or poisonous. You could say to see if the perfume irritates the skin, or you could say so the perfume can be approved by the government. You could say to check whether the person is allergic to the perfume. So any 2 of those will get you that mark. Look at the properties of the 4 new perfumes. Which perfume has the best set of properties? So J, that doesn't get you the mark there. You've got to say why. So you can say it's insoluble in water, so it won't wash off. And you can say it has a low boiling point, which means it'll evaporate easily. So if you said that it's insoluble in water and it has the lowest boiling point, that'll get you those 2 marks. If you put the reasons why that's important as well, that'd be really good. Richard works for Stowmarket Synthetics. He thinks there is not enough information on the table to decide which perfume should be manufactured. He thinks the cost of making the perfume is important. Write down one other piece of information that is important. So any of these, you need to say that either it has a nice smell, you could say it doesn't react with water, you could say it doesn't irritate the skin, and whether the perfume is toxic or poisonous. So any one of those. Next question. Coal is a fossil fuel. It is a non-renewable fuel. What is meant by non-renewable? So this is the idea that it's used up faster than it's made. So that's what you need to be putting there. It's used up faster than it's made. If you put it takes millions of years to make, that will also get you a mark. If you put just it takes a long time to be made, that will also get you a mark. If you said it will eventually run out, that will also get you that mark. Some power stations burn coal. Coal often contains sulfur as an impurity. The sulfur reacts with oxygen to make sulfur dioxide. Write a word equation. So first thing to do when you're drawing an equation is to draw the arrow. Then draw the 2 things that are reacting together, and that's the sulfur and the oxygen. It tells you they react. So you put that on the left-hand side of the arrow with a plus in the middle, and then it tells you what is made, sulfur dioxide. So you put that on the other side to show the product, which is that. Sulfur dioxide causes acid rain. Write about 2 environmental problems caused by acid rain. So any 2 of these, you could say it corrodes metals, you could say it reacts with limestone or marble, you could say it damages statues or damages buildings, you could say it kills plants or trees or crops, you could say it kills animals or destroys animal habitats. So any 2 of those would be fine. It says nitrogen dioxide is also made in a power station. To stop the nitrogen dioxide going into the atmosphere, it is reacted with water. Nitrogen dioxide reacts with water to make 2 acids. Copy out and balance the symbol equation for this reaction. So you don't necessarily have to copy it out. You can just put the numbers on the thing they've already written if you like. So you need a 2 in front of the NO2, and that is balanced. Karen burns some coal. She wants to find out if any carbon dioxide is made. Describe the chemical test she uses. So to test for carbon dioxide, you need lime water. So that'll be your first mark. And then if you say it goes milky or cloudy or white, then that'll get you the second mark. But you must get the right name of the chemical first before you get the second mark. This question is about compounds containing carbon. There's some compounds there. Two compounds have molecules that contain only 5 atoms. Which two? So you've got to count up the number of C's and O's and H's in each one. So compound A has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Compound B has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Compound C has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Compound D has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So D is one of them. Compound E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and E is the second one. It says two compounds decolorise bromine water, which two? So bromine water will be decolorised by an alkene, and that is something with a double bond between carbon atoms. So compound F and compound A both have double bonds between carbon atoms. Compound E does have a double bond, but it's between a carbon and an oxygen, so that won't decolorise bromine water. Explain why compound B is a hydrocarbon but compound C is not a hydrocarbon. That's just 3 marks, hopefully 3 fairly straightforward marks. So compound B is a hydrocarbon because it's made up of hydrogen and carbon only. You get a mark for saying it's made of hydrogen and carbon and a mark for saying only. The third mark is saying why C is not a hydrocarbon, and that is because it contains oxygen. That'll get you your third mark. This next question is a 6-mark question for the chemistry section, so please can you mark this yourself using the mark scheme that's on the Google site, and then ask your teacher if you feel that you need that to be checked. Anna finishes her sandwiches. She throws away the packaging into a dustbin. Write about 2 ways that waste plastic from the dustbin is disposed of. So you just need any 2 of these. You could say landfill site, recycling. You could say it's burned. Or you could say it's cracked to form monomers. So last section, lasers have many uses. Lasers can be used in industry to cut materials. Describe how properties of laser light allow materials to be cut. So again, any 2 of these will get you the mark. So talking about a narrow beam, so that'll get you a mark saying it's a concentrated beam or intense or powerful or high energy beam. And then that this causes a heating effect would get you also a mark. Complete the path of the light to show how this travels along the optical fibre. So you've just got to have a continuous path, and you have to have at least 2 reflections. So something like this, where it hits the edges and then bounces down the tube. Then write down 2 other uses of lasers. So any 2 of these. So you could say weapons guidance, light shows, surgery. You could say a laser gun, laser pointers, barcode scanners, security beams, CD players, eye surgery, cosmetic surgery. So any of those, get you those 2 marks. Microwave ovens are used to heat food. Chris looks at the information about 3 microwave ovens. Calculate the heating efficiency of the quick cook oven. So efficiency is the energy absorbed by the food divided by the total energy input, because this is the useful energy input in, the useful energy being used. The total energy input is 1,000, so it's 800 divided by 1,000 times 100, and that equals 80%. If you've got 0.8, that would also get you the mark if you didn't times by 100. The thermowave and microfast ovens have the same heating efficiency. How does the information in the table show this? So if you work out the efficiency of both of these, so for the thermowave it's 600 divided by 1200, which gives you 0.5, or if you times it by 100, 50%. And the microfast is 700 divided by 1400, which is also 0.5. So for 1 mark you just have to say they're both 0.5 or 50% efficient. Chris wants to compare the 3 ovens. He wants to know which oven heats food the fastest. Describe an experiment that Chris could use to find this out. So 3 marks. So any one of these for equipment mark. So either if you put a thermometer or a stopwatch, or measure the time to cook the food, or measure the temperature, that would get you a mark. And then you need 2 marks for a fair test. So you could say same volume, same amount of food, or same volume of food, or same mass of food, same container, same time, same starting temperature. And you could also have a mark for a method or procedure, so measuring the temperature rise, measuring the start and finishing temperatures, measuring time to heat up the food up to the same temperature. So this next question is a 6-mark question in the physics section, so please can you mark this yourself and then ask your teacher if you're unsure whether you've marked it correctly, just to check it over for you. Next question, ultraviolet UV light comes from the sun. UV light is also used in sunbeds. Many doctors are worried about the dangers to people who are exposed to UV light. Skin cancer has been linked to UV light. One type of skin cancer is called malignant melanoma. Look at the table about percentages that have this cancer. It shows the percentage of malignant melanomas found in each body area. Tara looks at the information. She suggests males have a higher percentage of malignant melanomas on their head and neck because, on average, males have shorter hair than females. Explain how shorter hair may increase the risk of malignant melanomas. So it's just the idea that more skin is exposed to the light, or the UV light. That's all you need there. More skin is exposed. Scientists are unsure whether exposure to the sun or sunbeds have the highest risk of causing skin cancer. Suggest how scientists could gather evidence to find out which has the highest risk. So any two of these could say that they could survey people, could say they need to have a large sample size, could say they must have a fair test. If you just put surveying lots of people, that would get you both marks, the one for surveying people and the one for having a large sample size. Pale and darker skins can both be affected by UV light. Darker skins reduce the risk of skin cancer. Explain why. So, first mark saying that darker skin absorbs UV, and therefore that it lets less UV reach the tissue below the skin. So 1 mark for saying it absorbs the UV light, 1 mark for saying it therefore lets less UV reach the tissue below the skin. Look at the table, it shows information for different skin types. If factor 10 sunscreen is used, which skin types will be safe for being in the sun for 5 hours? So remember that the amount of time to be safe in the sun for is the amount of time that the skin can usually stay in the sun times by the factor. So this skin type will be 10 hours, next skin type will be 4 hours, so 0.4 times 10, 0.7 times 10 is 7, and 0.2 times 10 is 2. So the only two that can stay in the sun for more than 5 hours is A and C. You have to have both of those for the mark. Final question, look at the list of the electromagnetic waves. Complete the table, put the waves in order of increasing frequency. 4 have been done for you. So you just have to fill in the table. So for 2 marks, so if you get all 3 correct, that's 2 marks. And if you just get one of them correct, any one, then that's 1 mark. So the first one between radio and infrared is microwave. Then you've got visible light in between infrared and ultraviolet. And then you've got X-rays in between ultraviolet and gamma. Now you could obviously discount these ones when you're doing this, because they were already in the table, so you just had to put these ones in. And that's the end of the paper, so please add up your marks, write it on your poster, and please attempt the next paper, which will be a Unit 2 paper, I assume.